Welcome to day 28 of Let's Get Exam Ready. In today's video, we're going to go through 10 common mistakes that students often make. The aim of sharing these common mistakes with you is to help you avoid making the mistakes in your own exams. The first common mistake that happens is students often mix up details of the studies. It's really important when you're revising to make sure that you're focusing on the details of the studies and you're not mixing up key details like was it an MRI or was it an fMRI? Was the study about a hormone or was it about a pheromone? Was it about a neurotransmitter? Was it about enculturation or was it acculturation? So when you're revising, pay attention to key detail and key information about your studies to help you avoid mixing up the details when you're recalling them for your exams. The second common mistake that often prevents students scoring in the top mark band bracket is not linking the study to the question. In short answer questions, students are often very good at writing the knowledge about the topic and then including a relevant study, but at the end they often fail to fully and explicitly explain how that study links to the question. Remember to end all your short answer questions with a 2 or 3 sentence explanation of how the study explicitly links to the question. A third common mistake is misusing studies. Students can often read questions very quickly and then think of a relevant study which is actually not correct for that question. For example, the question here is asking you about genetic similarities, and students often just see the word genetics and think about Caspi. Caspi's study did not look at genetic similarities in any way. It did look at genes, but it didn't look at the concept of genetic similarities between family members. So in this case, this study would be completely irrelevant. The second question here is about ethical considerations in a particular area of the sociocultural approach. And Loftus and Palmer is a study that has no relevance to the sociocultural approach. So this study would be irrelevant for this question as well. Take care when you're revising and make sure that you know what studies are relevant for each of the different topic areas. A very common mistake is that students only focus on revising studies, and in the exam all they can recall is information about the studies. But you need to also show knowledge. So for example, you need to make sure that you're revising topics like localization of function, neuroplasticity. You need to be able to show us knowledge about these topics as well as relevant studies. Theories and models, pay attention to revising key theories like social identity theory, social cognitive theory, models of memories. Also make sure that you're able to describe and evaluate common methods used in psychology, like experiments and interviews. And make sure that you're able to explain the relevant ethical considerations in psychology research. Studies are important in your responses, but you also need to show knowledge of topics, theories, methods, or ethical considerations, depending on the question. This one's straightforward. Just never, ever, ever include evaluation or critical thinking in any way in any of your short answer question responses. Including evaluation in a short answer question can make your response unfocused on the question, and this may prevent you scoring the top mark band bracket. In our earlier videos, we've talked about critical thinking and how it's different depending on the command term of the ERQ. So evaluation is just one way that you can show critical thinking. But if we have a command term of contrast or disgust, then there are different ways to demonstrate critical thinking. Be sure to go back and watch our videos which explain how you can demonstrate critical thinking for each of the different possible command terms for ERQs. Methods and ethics are often forgot about when students are revising, and this is clearly shown when students are responding to questions about methods and ethics. Remember, in paper 1, you can only be asked methods or ethical questions when in terms of the topics. So here are the topics for the biological, the cognitive and social approach, and they also include the high-level extension units as well. So a question about methods or ethics would only be asked at each of these topic levels. So when you're revising, be sure that you understand the relevant methods that we use when we're investigating these topics, and the relevant ethical considerations that are necessary to consider, again, when we are investigating these topics. Only well-developed critical thinking is going to gain you credit in your responses. So writing a checklist of generic evaluation comments is not going to help you score well for critical thinking. You want to avoid just listing these superficial evaluation points. In an earlier video in our series, we went through how you can demonstrate what we mean by well-developed critical thinking points. So be sure to review that video to help you demonstrate well-developed critical thinking points and score high in your ERQs for critical thinking. In paper 3, a key factor to consider is making use of the stimulus, and this is really important for question 3 in paper 3. This Question 3 is graded against this marking descriptor, and you can see that to score in the top mark band bracket, you have to make effective use of the stimulus. So for question 3 in paper 3, try to make sure that every single point you make refers to the stimulus. And finally, it's caught a few students out in the past when short answer questions have been asked about very specific terminology. And you can see here that they're highlighted in blue any particular term that could be asked at a short answer question level. So be prepared to see these in short answer questions in paper 1 and plan how you would respond to a question that asks you about any of these highlighted blue terms. Remember, don't panic, we are here to support you. And if you're looking for any support with your upcoming DP psychology exam or any of your DP subjects, reach out to Diploma Insights and register for your free tutoring session with one of our DP experts. In tomorrow's video, we look at how you can work smart and go through some effective revision strategies that previous DP psychology students have shared with us and what's helped them be successful in their psychology exams.